Disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit education or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. This video was made for entertainment purposes and is transformative in nature.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
No.
What are you?
I'm black and beautiful.
What is your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
Suppose I had some money in my pocket. Suppose I gave you $1 to say that you're an American Negro. This is money now. Money talks. Money talks. This dollar. And if you don't say it, you don't get it. You're an American Negro, aren't you?
No.
You won't have any money. You know you need money, don't you?
Yes.
You need money to live, don't you?
Yes.
All right. All you have to say, Leon, is that you're an American Negro, aren't you?
Hello and welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I am your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and this is We Up Report. We Up Report is to bring news, articulate, transmit, communicate, insinuate, develop, investigate, decode, unveil, spread the news, whether by news, video, website, or quote some publication. As I articulate this information, as the creator of the universe be here, heart, soul, mind, and spirit, because why? The truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people who created this land that you call the United States, we today in the present generation, we give honor to our ancestors. You know what the motto of my show is? I'm never gonna tell you what I heard. I'm only gonna tell you what I know. Today's date is July 7th, 2021. Another episode of We Up Report by your host again, Mr. Blows Your Minds. There seems to be some things that have been either by coincidence or they say conspiracy, but you know nobody ever says that a conspiracy has ever been true. No matter how much people put things out there that might show, it is what it is. So there seems to be the smell, the scent, the aroma to see so many black sisters falling down one by one like they on a pin on a bowling. So I guess it was for me after seeing so many other people tackle this and so many things of the reports not spoken about. Well, I got one that's going to tell you the origin of the thing that everybody suspect, but I'm going to take you to where the game began. Stay tuned as we, Black Minds News, We Up Report, delve into this topic. Hey, how's y'all doing, everybody? Again, this is your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and welcome to We Up Report. First and foremost, I want to say what's good to the original day one. You know, the original day one is my term that I see that people out here trying to somehow patent it like they're the originals, but we can go and pull out the receipts and tell me when the first time you said it, and we can go back and see in my archives and let's see who said it. But anyway, it's not all about that because we all family. Terms are going to be terms. Cliches are going to be cliches. But anyway, the original day ones, my subscriber was good fan to each and every one of you. Thank you for returning once again and clicking on the video. We thank you kindly over here. We report. Passerbys, if you pass by, happen to see the thumbnail or the title in itself, we welcome you over here. We always got a grand open. Happen to go down the aisle, see some things that make you feel some kind of way. Remember, the motto of my show is the truth. Don't need no partner. Now, let me show you as we get into this. For those who might have clicked on that due to the thumbnail, you see those lovely sisters right there, right? Lovely sisters. But they all have different scenarios. Some are the same, but there's something similar. Again, there's the scent, the smell of something seems to be a little bit wrong. Now, again, we don't make wrongs to be right, but we also have to look at, you know, all underlining, let's say, positions and tactics, especially as we as black Americans in this country that we call the United States, and how history has always shown us that the things that when our antennas peak up, we kind of be on code and kind of can read what it is, even though nobody's going to admit that what it is. So as you see on your screen there, it says standards civilization violation. Let me say that again. Standards of civilization violation. Now, what is that, Mr. William? What is the standards of civilization violation? What are you talking about standards of civilization? Well, a lot of people are talking about race, white supremacy, and they're saying certain things that seem to kind of taint or can be used to taint our people, whether willingly violating things or just by circumstance of just being you. And sometimes they don't reveal itself as obvious as that. It is us, those who are the black media, who delve in this to try to be the investigative journalists today. We must go in and look and see and show that it exists. It exists there. So when I say standards of civilization, a lot of you may not have ever heard of that term. But where is the origins of white supremacy? Where is the origins of white supremacy? Do any of y'all even know? Well, what I'm going to do today in this show here is show the relevance of the standard of civilizations, of its origins, and how it still is permeating and live in effect in 2021. Okay? So, before I get into that and show as I go into this dissertation of this particular show, many of us have read the pamphlet, the book called The Willie Lynch Letter and the Making of a Slave. Let me say that again. Many of us, and some have not, and if this is the first time you ever heard, we expect you to go read about it. But there's a book called Willie Lynch Letter and the Making of a Slave. Now, if you go on page 16 in this pamphlet or book, some people might say it's a pamphlet, some people may describe it as a book, but it talks about the breaking process of the African woman. Let me say that again. The breaking process of the African woman. It says something to this verbatimly. Then take the female, run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Test her in every way, because she is the most important factor for good economics. If she shows any signs of resistance in submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract the last bit of bitch out of her. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economics. When in complete submission, she will train her offsprings in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. Understanding is the best thing, therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking process of the female nigger. We have reversed the relationships in her natural uncivilized state. Point take, uncivilized. Keep that in mind, mental checkpoint. In her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male, and she would have a limited protective tendency towards her independent male offspring and would raise the female offspring to be dependent like herself. Nature had provided for this type of balance. We reserve nature, or we reverse nature, by burning and pulling one civilized nigger apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offsprings in reverse roles. For fear of young male's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offsprings to be psychologically independent. What have you got? You got the nigger woman out front and the man behind and scared. This is a perfect situation for sound sleep in economics. Before the breaking process, we had to be alertly on guard at all times. Now we can sleep soundly, for out of the frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past her infant slave process. He is a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. By the time a nigger boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken in and ready for life's sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of good labor force. Continually, though, the breaking of the uncivilized slave nigger, by throwing the nigger female savage into a frozen psychological state of independency, by killing of the protective male image, by creating a submissive, dependent mind of the nigger male savage, we have created an orbited cycle that turns in its own axis forever. Unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the female savages, we show what we mean by example. Take the case of two economic slave units and examine them closely. Now, I don't need to go no further, but let's see the gist of this and how what I just laid out, according to what some people might have said, that the CIA, this could be propaganda, it's not real. But when they talk about conspiracy, has any conspiracy ever been proven false? And has anyone debunked? Or is it just something that is said to dwarf off the attention and to make those people who talk about it as loons? So my thing is, can you see the things that some people will try? Again, if you had fact checkers, they would say, we have found this to be false. So can you see some of the words that was talked in this Willie Lynch letter pamphlet? And what does that got to do with what you're about to talk about here, Mr. Blows Your Mind? Well, let me go and lay this out for you, and then we will come back and we will actually talk about that. Now, remember, that is the foundation. Why are they getting the violations? But what is the standard when it comes to civilization, and who you must appease when that stamp is put upon you? That is going to be today's video. Okay? So, standards of civilization, right? Do I need to go there first? I think I will, right? let me tell you like this. You know, when you go back in history, you start looking about the 19th century, and they started to come up with this ideal about how European culture and moral superiority, and they call it, this is their peak. Doing this again would be around the 19th century. Now, they had presumed that they had this mission to civilize the rest of the world. And by calling themselves this mission, what they were going to do is going to expand this European influence by colonization. Now, this self-defined Eurocentric international society and law, countries and people, they distinguish this by civilized and uncivilized. Let me say that again. Civilized and uncivilized. That uncivilized would be categorized like a barbarian. But many of us who read history, we know the original barbarians, that from going back in time, who was the original barbarians. But then there has been a flip game, flip mode. And now the head is now the tail, and the tail is now the head. And so this became the foundation, what became known as the standard of civilization. Now, when you're talking about international society, when going back around that Renaissance era, when the Christian societies of states were being formulated, and that would be between like the 16th and 18th century, you know, they were sitting around debating whether the terms of what was universal society. You know, they was doing this, again, Renaissance, when they was, you know, philosophizing and coming up with all this stuff. What they call the thinkers of the Enlightenment era for them, right? And so they all, in some way, had agreed or referred to the existence of humanity as a whole, but they also found a way to level themselves to be above everybody else. They regarded the European culture and civilization to be the forefront of progress. Let me say that again. When you're talking about going back into the 16th, 18th century, doing what they call the Christian society states, and they were going through this Renaissance with these so-called thinkers of the Enlightenment era, they all was in agreement about the existence of humanity as a whole, but they had to put themselves in their ideology and regarded them as European, the culture and civilization, to be the forefront of progress. So by the time this 19th century comes around, this self-conception of European society end up getting replaced. The one that used to be Christian society, okay, is now going to be a European society. So this novel concept of civilization, when they go back and coin it to some person named Victor Mirabeau, with about 1757, something he wrote about treaties on populations, and about 10 years after that, somebody named Ferguson had wrote an essay on the history of civil society in 1767. And once that word civilization started to, you know, be passed around by those who were reading his publication, that took on a life of its own. And so what they did is they started to incorporate this into the self-concept of European-centered international society. Okay? Now, don't go to sleep, for those of y'all who heads get heavy when somebody start talking, because some people like to be entertained, right, throughout, and tickled, and, you know, all that other stuff. You have to understand where all this is coming from, right? Anyway, so as they argued about the shrinking of the international society and the scope of what they call Eurocentrism. Now, this Eurocentrism was due to when they switched from natural law, when you talk about natural law, you're talking about universal, to what they call positivism. 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 And so this emphasized on treaty law, sovereignty, and international them. Let me say that again. This positivism is what they're going to now formulate, getting away from natural law to this positivism is which they're going to create. They're going to write the script for. They're going to emphasize on treaty laws, sovereignty, international them. Not us, like us, but them. Them. Now, when you look at international law for the most part of the 19th century, it was about between the European states and those of the European extractions, treaties which states outside of Europe and the Americas, they were unequal with the sovereignties and independence of those of the time, talking about the Ottoman Empire, China, Persia, Japan. So these had a limit, even though they might have been somewhat considered civil, but they had a degree of less than equal. So this civilization linked with progress. Remember, they said the civilization was linked with progress and became the scale by which countries of the world were to be categorized into civilized, barbarous, and savage spheres. Let me say that again. This civilization that's linked with progress became the scale by which countries of the world were categorized into civilized, barbarous, and savage spheres. So this spirit of the laws became common among the enlightened thinkers. And they ended up saying that there was a fourth category that ended up being called wild men. And so this 19th century, these publicists, the lawyers, and other influential commentators in international affairs designed this legal dimension. And only civilized nations qualified as full members of the family of nations. Let me say that again. Lawyers and other influential commentators on international affairs creating this legal dimension and specify only civilized nations qualified as full members of families of nations. Those who were deemed barbarous nations had less legal capacity. Deemed as a savage, you had even lesser. Now, those who would be considered in the barbarous sphere enjoyed only partial recognition and inferior membership in the family of nations. Let me say that again. Those who were considered in the barbarous spheres enjoyed only partial recognition, inferior membership in the family of nations. As for those who they deemed as savage, the belief prevailed that they were vanishing, that they were doomed to fall by the wayside. The gradual extinction of inferior races is not only a law of nature, they said it's a blessing to mankind. Mr. Blow Your Minds, I thought we were about to talk about, wait a minute, Mr. Blow Your Mind, I thought you were talking about this. What does this got to do with what you talking about? Slow your roll, homie. We gonna get there. You understand? This ain't microwave. This is preparations for a good ass meal. Right? So you have to get the understanding of the term standards of civilization to understand why there's a violation, as it talked about in the breaking process of the African woman, because they synchronized together in the whole. But because it is not something that is common knowledge amongst us, someone has to tell you it. If you clicked on by accident, you stumbled to the right place. So when you talk about this 19th century European American view, well, it ranged from what they call racialists. And a racialist is the difference due to stage of development, right? Development, how they deemed how you developed, right? That was the range. But they believed that if they gave you somewhat of, let's say, if you was deemed a savage and then got put into a barbarous, that there is a stage of development that you could probably obtain and maybe become deemed civilized under the concept of what they believe, right? Now, when you talk about racists, it has this, they have this innate, unabridgable differences intertwined with the concept of civilization, right? And this end up bringing up this new concept of race that end up being introduced in the 18th century by people like, let's say, George Buffon, Johann Blumenbach, where they rank peoples as race hierarchically. Race of mankind were innately unequal. When they talk about the Aryans or as master race, and then what gave more credence and more credibility, it became the advent of the social Darwinism. Remember that stuff? And then that was taught that the Asians, the African, and the Native Americans were regarded as inferior races, but the so-called white race superior intellectual, culturally, and otherwise. So the ideal of progress coupled with the standard of civilization provided the European powers the justification for their global expansion. From 1830 onward, the so-called liberal thinkers of that time, they supported colonization in order to bring what they consider us as backward peoples the benefit of civilization. Also, the case was most liberal international lawyers also supported. And so, even though they were liberal, they were critical of, they say, colonial rule, but they never suggested abandoning it so long, they said, if it wasn't brutal. But you know how that went, right? We are the descendants of that, right? That is why they're trying to block a lot of the history being spoken today, right? So, wait, Mr. Bowman, what are you talking about here? Wait, okay, no. The reason why I had to say that is because how does this going to play into what I'm about to lay out? I have to lay the foundation. Now, when you talk about international law, right? Remember, some of this is international, right? Let me show again. Some of this that we're talking about is international, right? It ain't some of that just in home. Some of this is international. And you got to understand that part. And some of the things that these sisters were doing and why they were breaking the violations. Okay? So international law is the creation of the Christian civilized world of Europe. Product of, they say, the Germanic and the Romanic races. The superiority of the Aryan races. The development, what they said, of higher science, higher culture. They say they respect for women and human rights and statecraft, right? The civilized nations of Europe and America were called upon to develop a common legal conscience of mankind. Let me say that again. The civilized nations of Europe and America were called upon to develop a common legal conscience of mankind. International law was destined to be extended to the entire globe, not limited to the Christian nations, with admission when they talk about Turkey and going back to 1856 when they talk about in Paris Congress. Okay? International law was a product of European Christian principles, applied only to the civilized nations of European origins. International law cannot apply to barbarians, they say. It cannot reciprocate. Civilized states cannot breach the laws in relation to uncivilized nations. A distinguished legal historian divided the world into civilized, barbaric, and savage people. Argued that the international law as a European creation could not be compared to a few agreements between the civilized states and barbarians or savages. A certain category, there was always the exclusion of Muslim states. It said that the barbarians from international law on the grounds that their minds are incapable of reciprocity. The reciprocity did not arise from Buddhist or Confucian nations, only with Islamic nations for their moral code, but based on the Quran. Prohibits relations of equality and reciprocity. All right, Mr. Blow, you might, wait a minute, you going on, okay, you going too on. Okay, now, I just want to lay some of this foundation, this work, because in this tells you when you don't meet the standards of civilization by the game that those who created and how they created the international laws, they have the right. Where you think you got a treaty with them, they say a treaty in itself is not really a treaty when it comes to barbarous and inferior nations. It's just an arrangement that has a clause that means we can change it at any time we deem fit. Because we are the civilizers. We civilize the nations. So let's get into this. Now, first story is going to be, we see that, let's do that and come back. Let's do this and come back. Do that. All right, we are back, right? Now, let's look at this, right? Now, remember what I read on page 16 where it says the civilized nigger, right? The civilized nigger, and how it said to take him and pull him apart and put the black woman in a frozen state. Remember that part? Remember when I said that? So, let's see what happened here, right? Let's see what happened. Go ahead and show that for me there, sir. Yeah, go ahead and show me that. All right, go ahead. All right, so, you know, I know today being the 7th, some of this stuff didn't already happen. But again, Black Minds News, which we say we report, we have our own way because we let everything marinate and come out later so that we'll give you more than just the rush microwave. We try to give you the dinner. So we all seen when Phylicia Rashad celebrates Bill Cosby's sentence being overturned, right? We seen the backlash for her tweeting that out, and to the fact that she had to backpedal, right? Now again, many people have their own pros, yays, and nays about the Bill Cosby situation. I am not one to espouse, you know, my belief or any of that, because I don't think that's really relevant, because between him and them and what was established through the law, you know, my output on that has no bearing whatsoever. But I did look at the situation that Phylicia Rashad and how that her showing some allegiance, do you know that it talked about when they want to break the African woman, that they want to make sure that this uncivilized nigger female never has a relationship that she's dependent upon the uncivilized nigger male. Then that way, and they said that nature provided them, that what happened is the father will raise the son to be the way that he needs to be, and she will do the same with her daughter. And it's not good economics, because what happens is they're in their natural state and nobody can benefit. So when Phylicia Rashad, and let's look at it from the standpoint of the image, because they talk about, remember, pulling apart in her appearance, right? In her face. So that puts her in a frozen psychological state. So when we go back and look at the Bill Cosby trial and realize that they had 40 women, it was, you know, a lot of media coverage and the things that were being said and so forth. Do you believe that's kind of like a representative of a man being pulled by two horses and pulled apart before the rest of us? That a man who, in this case, he would be considered a civilized nigger. Right? He'd be a civilized nigga. But this image that they're trying to destroy, and again, this isn't about whether he's guilty or not, but I want to talk on later about the foundation of what I'm talking about here, is the fact that the image that he has portrayed, and then to have Phylicia Rashad, think about the image that they played through the 80s. You know how they called Bill Cosby at one time America's dad? So then who was America's mom? So in a sense, you know, many people believe what they see, and somehow, let's say television or television has programmed many people. There's many things that they see. Some of them use it as a way to build upon, learn upon, copy upon, right? But this image that they have portrayed, family structure, about college and all that, without this happening here by Phylicia Rashad, everything that had been promoted prior to that was damaged. Even though they was going to come back and say that from a law standpoint, he's been exonerated. But the damage was already done. But by Phylicia Rashad coming out and saying the things she did, reattached the image, and she got backlash for that. The reason she got backlash is what you have to look at. Why did they go so hard after her? Why did they go so hard after her? Huh? Did y'all ask like, damn, you know what I'm saying? She had been, working with him. Maybe she don't believe. But they were saying she being a female, that women saying rape, that she's supposed to go in cahoots. Not to be associated with one who's been deemed that, but even though legally he has been exonerated, but you need to go with the flow. Now, sisters that might be hearing me, think about this and about this feminist movement. You remember as I was talking about in the standards of civilization and how that you go from savage to barbarous to civilized? Isn't that kind of like what's happening unconsciously to many of us, not understanding that when a black woman supports a black man, it's not good economics for somebody. And so black women in the last, say, 15, 20 years have took on the moniker as feminists, which means you took your hyphen off in front of your woman as black and became genderized, if that's a word, as a female. So now you are inclusive in this fraternization of women, but you know that there's still, as it says about, in again, going back to what? The civilization, right? Standards of civilization. The white will always be above anything that is non-white. Do I need to say that again? When you call yourself elevating, took off the hyphen of your black woman, and now say yourself as just a woman, and now you in the fraternization, is the same thing as the game they was talking about. What? Wait, hold. Show that again. Show that up there. Show them that. Show that again. Show that them again. Huh? Standards of civilization. Remember I was telling you about how the game of standards of civilization go? Europeans get to set the standards. They are the standards. When you don't fit in their standards, they deem you barbarous or savage, or even the fourth one is a wild man. Right? So when a black woman is elevating herself, she has to leave the black. You no longer are black anymore. You're now then graduated. You are now moving up from the savage of black, uncivilized nigger to being a woman. But in the scale of this standard of civilization, when they talking about woman, the white man is over everybody, regardless to how smart, well, we'll talk about that later, how smart, how articulate, how brilliant, how beautiful you are. Don't matter. According to the games of standard of civilization, the apple of the eye is the European. The apple of the eye is the European. So when Phylicia Rashad did what she did, she broke the code. She was breaking the violation against the code, the standard of civilization, by the man who they paraded in front of the world and broke in front of the world. You came and supported him, and then they used your tenure. They used your education, everything that you defined yourself to make yourself no longer a black woman only, that you elevated yourself to a woman, that they went and they used, they used, the students, did anybody see that? Where the students came out and demanded that she should apologize. She did apologize, right? She wrote a letter to the parents. She wrote a letter to the students, and she apologized for her supporting of Bill Cosby. Now, I thought that she, okay, let me show you something too, because remember I was talking about conspiracy too. Let me show y'all something. Now, HBCU stands for Historically Black Colleges, right? Historically Black Colleges. I'm not saying that all black people are in agreement with what happened with Bill Cosby and the whole thing. I'm not saying that. But somebody supports somebody on a friendship that they know, and to say that the miscarriages of justice by the standard of justice, again, standard of civilization, is also intertwined with law. The rules, the rule of law is embodied in standards of civilization, which, according to the way some people will argue, is that they broke the rules in order to put Bill Cosby in that situation. The rules didn't apply to him, and they did it according to the way because they were who they are, and it was that we're going to do it the way we want to do it. But then when it came back and it had to be exposed after 2 years of him, 3 years of him being locked up, everything fell out. And so she, knowing this, felt some way and spoke. But you out of pocket, they say. You're violating. So she went on a campaign to retract what she said. But let me show you something. Let me show you something, the ironicness of this. You know, when somebody say they being set up, right? When somebody saying they being set up, sometimes we don't believe that. We think, nah, he ain't been set up. What are you talking about? He ain't being set up. That's just, just conspiracy talk. Let me show you something, the ironicness. Let me say this to you. Let's say you just got hired for a job that you applied for, right? You just got hired. It's a nice job, good paying job, benefits, and it's a job you'll love to do, right? And after you get hired, they said, okay, on this particular date, let's just say July 1st. We're going to say on July 1st, we're going to start your tenure. We're going to start your tenure, right? You're going to get hired to do this job, and it's going to be on, we're going to start you on July 1st. That's going to be the day you start with your contract and everything, right? Let me show y'all something. Let me show you something. Howard University announces legendary actress, alumna Phylicia Rashad as Dean of the newly reestablished College of Fine Arts. Let me say that again. Howard University announces legendary actress, alumna Phylicia Rashad as Dean of the newly reestablished College of Fine Arts. Okay? She did the interview back in May, and they said her tenure, they hired her and said July 1st, right? July 1st is the day you're going to start this job. Now, what day was it that Bill Cosby was announced and exonerated? Friday, July 2nd. Let me say that again. Did you know, by coincidence, the first day that Phylicia Rashad becomes the dean of Howard University, the very next day, not even 24 hours later, Bill Cosby is freed. And she goes out and says what she says. She just got hired. Is the timing ironic Or is this somebody in the background playing chess? Seeing that you probably were going to show some allegiance, and when you do, we're gonna scarlet letter you when you do it. It made you backtrack. Huh? Was the ironicness of that? Now again, whether he guilty or not, that's not for me to sit here to ponder or about. But the ironicness, her tenure started on July 1st, and July 2nd, Bill Cosby is released, exonerated from that case. She makes her statement. And the whole HBCU, which is about 10,000 students, they say 70% of the student body is African Americans. That means 29 to 30% of them are people of other extractions. Why was such a big outlash about that on her? See? Ain't that something? Ain't that something? Ain't that something? So she went on the campaign and did the thing she had to do. But was it by coincidence that some of you may not know? She had just got that job. Her tenure just started on July 1st. Not even a hot second. They had her on a situation that she almost didn't get day one on the job. That she had a decision to make. Or everything that she had worked up for, they was going to trash her because of her allegiance. Because again, remember that image is showing Bill Cosby and Phylicia as the image that they had portrayed for many people from the 1980s on up as this family structure. And here she was standing by her side of Bill Cosby after all that had been done. So was it chess? Or was it just a coincidence? Was it? I don't know. You tell me. Be right back. Hey, you sitting here watching the video. Why you sitting there? Put your hand on that like button, click it, thumbs it up, share this video, comment. You can like or dislike it. We don't care about that. And also, if you ain't over here and subscribe, what you waiting on? Get yourself on there and subscribe to get on up to We Up Report. So you can stay up because we're going to keep you up. That's how you help keep this channel going. You can also do some monetary donations. We'll tell you about that later. But right now, wake yourself up, like, share, and comment. And don't forget, when you subscribe on that button, hit that put all notifications. You know. All right, I think we are back, right? So, that's part one, right? Standard of Civilization Violation 1. Phylicia Rashad going against the grain after we, the civilized nation, have deemed him as what we did. Again, whether you for, pro, or against the whole scenario, but we know what was displayed. But that was a no-no on her part by those who control standard of civilization. Now, the next one is this one. Let me show this next one, right? Ready to show that, sir? Right? Show that one, sir. You had the Rachel Nichols leaked diversity comments about Maria Taylor causes uproar at ESPN. Let me say that again. Rachel Nichols leaked diversity comments about Maria Taylor causes uproar at ESPN, right? So everybody pretty much done heard so much of this story here, right? That a so-called leaked tape, and the only reason they say leaked, I guess you can't say leaked, it got outside of ESPN due to somebody being on code, and I'll talk about that a little later. But imagine that. somebody saying that only for you, the reason why you got what you got is because of diversity. Meaning kind of like affirmative action. Like you a quota nigga. You ain't really got no talent. You really don't got no skills. But they trying to bump me or put you in the spot is because they do have a horrible record when it comes to having diversity in these workplaces, or when it comes to this venue of profession. ESPN is not good at it. And so she felt that this sister, who she deemed, again, standard of civilization, white people have the right to say whether you are qualified or not. That's what everybody don't get. It's white folks sitting here had a nerve that she was talking with another white person who they both had something in common, which they both were Germans. One was Jewish, and this one here is English faction, I think, but they derived both from the Germanic family. So they had a, brotherly talk, brotherly sisterly talk, right? But did not know that the camera was rolling. Keep the camera rolling. Keep that camera rolling, right? And so the things that had leaked out in what she said, they only put really the gist of it is diversity. And think about that. Now, was this really about just diversity, or was just somebody, again, who feel like you're not qualified? And she is. I had seen somebody show the other day that Diane Sawyer is her mother-in-law. So we had to say, if Diane Sawyer, who's in the business, what part of nepotism helped you to get and maintain your job? See, we don't have that kind of lineage in these games, so we are normally the first. So you're building towards trying to get some nepotism, but not all the time that's going to work. But in this case, it's about a dog-eat-dog, more talented, better suited than the person who is above me. But if they deem you not because she said so, then what happens? So we see how that all took place, made a little, news and so forth. But the thing that cracked me up about this is, did y'all see how they had Kendrick Perkins and Richard Jefferson sit there and say these things when this really had nothing really to do with them? But, image and what they got to sell to get the heat off their ass, it just kind of like, it's like, come on, man, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to put yourself out there like that. But you did anyway, right? So let me let you hear the conversation. Do we got that? Do we got that? Yeah, I think we do. Yeah, we got that. We got that, right? Okay. So let's go ahead and let me show you something. Okay, yeah, I think we got it. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I want y'all to hear what they said. Let's do that, and then let's go back over there. We ready to do that? Go ahead, let's do that, and then come back.
That rule today or distract from a fantastic finals. But I also don't want to let this moment pass without saying how much I respect, how much I value our colleagues here at ESPN, how deeply, deeply sorry I am for disappointing those I hurt, particularly Maria Taylor, and how grateful I am to be part of this outstanding team.
Well, Rachel, I want to say thank you. Thank you for accepting responsibility for your actions. As someone that has known you for a long time, being around you, you have treated me with the utmost respect, and you always made me feel comfortable in your presence. And I know your heart, great person, great individual. I also know Maria Taylor, great person as well, very, very talented, hardworking, and I feel like she also deserves every opportunity that is presented her way. My only hope is that we have a commitment overall to support each other through this process and continue to support each other through our journey.
No, I agree with Perk. Let me first say this. I fully support Maria Taylor. I've worked with her since I joined ESPN at Get Up and Countdown, and I've known Rachel for 20 years. Rachel and our entire group here have had some very difficult conversations over this time period, and those conversations don't end here. We will continue to have uncomfortable conversations. No one is excused. She is not excused. I am not excused. Perk. This doesn't just go away, but we have to learn and understand it and become better for each other, and really through our actions more than anything, and that is our responsibility, and we all have a role in that, and that's something that I take pride in, and I hold to myself and everyone to a very high standard.
Well, thank you guys both for being with me here today. Thank you, everyone out there, for being with us here today. Just below us is Media Day here at the NBA Finals. The Suns and Bucks getting ready to address what is one of the biggest moments of so many players' careers. We will have all of the sound, all of the action for you. Welcome to The Jump.
All right, we are back, right? All right? So y'all heard that, right? Okay. Called at the wrong time, right? So anyway. So, you heard that, right? Can you imagine that she got a gripe or she got an issue? She the one who said some things that she need to do really a one-on-one with the camera. If she wanted to do this as a public announcement to show her sincerity as to what she wanted to do, why did she have to have the two brothers on the side? And the two brothers make it no better on the stuff that they said. And I heard a video, which I didn't get, where Perkins said that he said somebody had asked him that was a great opportunity for him to go ahead and to get in depth as to why, as a white person, that you feel that a black person who you see has talent, ability, and skills, and actually was a former athlete, why did you feel that she was not qualified? Well, some people might look at the fact and say, you know what, prior to all that, right, if you go back a little bit, prior to that, right, I think it was the issue as to there was the rumor that I think, right, she was possible going to be a divorce from ESPN because she was asking for more money, right? She was asking for more money based on that she believed that her worth, that she proved that she was valuable in the sense that what she brought to the table was merited, right? So that was kind of some of the stuff that was out there about it. And there was also the fact that it showed about I remember they had talked about she was asking for Stephen A. Smith money, which he makes about $8 million. So they had said, well, she can't get 8, but they had negotiated to 5, and then they took back the negotiation of the 5 and said, well, maybe 2, 3. She like, wait a minute, I bring too much to the show to belittle me at that. I think my worth is I'm more valuable than that. And so they looking at, well, you know, if that's how you feel. But the point is, they also was about to allow her to have a little bit more shine during the NBA Finals. And Rachel Nichols is kind of like feeling like, well, you bumping me. Well, that goes back to the whole thing when you talk about sisters, about feminism. See, the job of feminism is to help the white woman to get the positions that the white man won't allow his woman to get, because he, as he said in the Standard of Civilization, he respects women only at home and cooking and cleaning, washing his drawers, but not equal to me when it comes to out here in this world. And so what they did is made an organization and use all the other women of colors, and then we're going to drop the colors so we can be feminists. But who's going to get the grand prize? You're going to help us to get what we get, not you to get over me. And that's what, to me, what this is pretty much about. she was upset that she feel that the replacement for her was right in her face. She's black, they black, she has a certain appeal, she's knowledgeable, likable, and you just kind of the person in the room that's possibly could have got your job from nepotism because they said your mother-in-law is Diane Carroll, right? Not Diane Carroll. Right? Sawyer, Diane Sawyer, right? But you know what I'm saying. So, can you believe that this sister here is being downgraded because to say that, one, she's not equal to the value that she brings to ESPN. Two, the white woman said you only got this job because of diversity, not because you was talented, not because you skilled. Yet these two said that they believe that you are, but they know them. And I don't understand how, brother, just because you work with somebody, you can say you know their heart. Many of us don't work with people just because we work with them, but who they are when they get off work is entirely a different person. If you ain't sleeping with them, you ain't with them all the time, even in those moments when they under the influence and things like that, why would you say you feel their heart? But he did. Kenya Perkins said that he wasn't going to go out there and stand on the fact for that issue because he said, one, it was a woman's issue between two women. He felt uncomfortable being out there really as a black man had to speak on it. There was a door open for you about diversity because that affects you, your children, grandchildren, and so forth, right? So that was a door that y'all both could have go ahead, but he said, how would it look like I would have destroyed everything I worked for if I'd have went in there and act the way that most of y'all want me to act? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lose my job. No, wait a minute. This brother been in the league. I'm pretty sure he's got some millions of dollars. Why is it that people who got money that don't need to really be working, why you still got a damn job? You still want to have somebody make it where it's you as a man can't say what you want, that you want to be able to be told that you can't say that when you got your own money, that you don't really need this. You know, teach his own. He said, I would, and if it was for my wife, he would do it. But it kind of just shows something about in the character of individuals that when it comes to black, we're all not black. Because everybody got their own agendas of being, if they can get off, move from savage to being a barbarous to being civilized. And if that's going to leave you behind, they're going to do it, right? They're going to do it. So that was on that situation there too, right? That was on that situation, right? And so, the other one here is the one when we talk about this sister here. Everybody heard about that, right? Everybody heard about, you know, Sha Carri Richardson and that whole thing about, you know, THC. Does THC have anything to impair your ability? Most people say, yeah, you know, get to laughing, joking, get relaxed. But does it make you jump higher, run faster? A lot of people say no. Right? No, that ain't what that is. Okay. So she had a little THC in her system, right? Okay. Knowing that pretty much this country in itself is legalizing no matter where you go, right? So you would think that in this standard of civilization, those who were the judges of it, and when they, again, let me show y'all something. Did y'all know that they had just changed that law? Did you know they just, this 2021 of January was the beginning of this new THC law? What they call the code, right? Let me show y'all something. The World Anti-Doping Code effective of January 1st, 2021. That code just went into effect. The last one was in 2015. So this one came right at this time to have its effect. And when you look at the story of Sha Carri, then she had tests prior, before she ran. So when did they have the results of Sha Carri? Did they have them before she ran back in June? Did they already have it and then waited till after she ran and qualified and won and then sprung it on her? Because according to this World Anti-Doping Code, if you are not competing, then it can't be held against you. But during competition, starting from 11:59 p.m. until the end of the competition, that is a no-no. So my question becomes, what we don't know is, when was the test administered? We heard the story that, yes, her mother had passed and she had to hear it through a reporter. But we all who seen her run that day after she ran and went into the stand and hugged her grandmother and talked about that whole ordeal, has she had already taken the drug test? How long does it take for a drug test to come back? So did they allow her to do all that and then pull the plug and say, oh, you've been caught with THC in your system? So I don't know, did they test her after the run or was it before the run? That's a question I wanted to ask. You know, because a lot of people, they equate the story to, let's say, what's his name? What's that cat name? His name, what's that cat, the swimmer cat? What's his damn name? Michael Phelps, right? I think it was Michael Phelps, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, you can't talk about Michael Phelps because, you know, whoop-de-woo, whoop-de-woo. Like, okay. But let me show y'all something. Everybody heard about Michael Phelps and the fact that he got caught on a picture, right? He got caught on a picture, right? With a bong. And they said it was after, right? It was after Olympics. So they say in 2009, I think, he was caught on a photo holding a bong. So I have to ask for some of y'all who are out here talking. Y'all dismiss that so easily. Oh, he just had a picture, and yeah, they gave him 3 months. Could he have been tested positive for THC in 2008, but they didn't tell you nothing about it? Could he have failed and they said nothing about it? Is it possible? No, there's no way he could have failed and they wouldn't have told you. So you believe they done told you everything to know about that Michael Phelps, right? You believe that, right? So let me show you something going back in time a little bit, right? What about when he got this? Remember when Michael Phelps arrested on DUI charges? Everybody remember that? Nobody remember that, right? Nobody remember when he got caught in DUI. Back in 2014. 2016 Olympics is coming, right? But he didn't got DUI'd. But nobody talked about that, right? It was no big deal. Is alcohol a drug? Is it in the classification of drugs? Is that part of the anti-doping code? No? No? Is that part of it? No? No violation? None of that? An athlete can drink as much and that's nothing. That's legal, right? Just as long as you're not alcoholed up as you compete. Is that what they're saying? Okay, so that's one violation. What if he did it again? What if he did it again? What if Michael Phelps had got arrested for drinking driving a second time? What about the second time? Oh, somebody asked, did he go to jail? Did he go to jail? Did he do community service? No. He was the face of the Olympics. Right? And I didn't hear many of y'all talk about this because obviously y'all didn't know because they didn't make it really public. They might have snuck it through at a time that most of us was not watching, right? They might have snuck it through a little bit, right? But they kept it on the hush because why? He was the face. He is the one that's going to replace Caitlyn Jenner, right? Remember, Caitlyn Jenner was the most decorated. Well, look what done happened to that. And now you got him. All-time greatest winner in the United States history. But he had 2 DUIs and they had a picture of him with a bong. So if he had a bong caught in 2009, is it possible Is it possible that he might have tested positive and they just didn't say he was positive and then brought that photo out to make up for the fact that they allowed him to go ahead, but then to say they caught him with a after. And then when they caught him in the photo, he still had 2 years. And they said, well, he got 3 months. Well, shit, it's 2014. The Olympics ain't till 2016. So when you give him the suspension, what kind of effect is that going to have? Who wouldn't take that? Oh, if I got caught and it ain't near time for that, I got a whole 2 years. Go ahead, why don't you just give me a year? It won't affect me no damn well because the Olympics in 2016. So you have to ask yourself, what was the point in that? You said he wasn't doing again, the protocols is from 11:59 p.m. from the time of the start of the events to the end of it. So if he's in 2014 and he out and about doing what he's doing, well, how can you penalize him for? Maybe he was penalized because maybe he got caught and eventually it might come out if somebody ever get inside that see that stuff and maybe reveal it. Possible, right? But we show no, right? So we know that though, right? No. Boy, you messing up, ain't you? You messing up, boy. You really messing up. You messing up. There you go. So yeah, a lot of people are disappointed at what Sha Carri did because she being our sister, cut from the cloth as being a black American. We gonna support her. You know, I still haven't heard them say anything that THC affects an athlete. I still haven't seen them show the scientific part that states by their studies and tests states that. So why would the anti-doping, who just came out in 2021 with this new code, have THC in there? Is it because a lot of these sisters that you see, as you see, let's say go up there, go there. As you see how these sisters are, is that the image you want to portray as an Olympian? Is that the image? Is that the standard of civilization image? Or, as it said in the Willie Lynch, that we're going to have to, when she resists and not want to be part of the standard of civilization, we have to beat every little bit of bitch out of her to get her to complete submission. So if I take you and make you sit out on the biggest thing that you know you wanted, and if I sit you down, all that time you sitting down, when you come back, you going to be right? You're going to be right this time, ain't you? You're going to be right. All right, so ain't that something? They just came out with that. Right? So when you look at this USDA, let me show you something what it says in here. Let me show you something here. Can we go there? Let's go there, right? Let me show y'all something. All right, let's go there for a second. Hold on. Let's see. Can we get that right, sir? We ready? All right, yeah, I think we got it now, right? We ready. All right, let's see. So, according to what you see on your screen, it says administered by the World Anti-Doping Agency, which is WADA, W-A-D-A, the World Anti-Doping Code. Harmonize anti-doping rules and regulations for organizations and athletes around the world. USADA and the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee are signatories to the code, which means that any athlete who is a member of the USADA testing pool or a national governing body for the sport is subject to the code. WADA releases an update version of the code every 5 to 6 years, and the latest version of the code will go into effect on January 1st, 2021. While there are many changes reflected in 2021 code, USADA has highlighted some of the key changes that athletes should be aware of, right? Now this is what they're saying, right? So I want y'all to peep the Smitties on this, right? Okay. Now here it is talking about this they say substance abuse, right? We're talking about substance abuse. Can we see that? Hold on, go back see. All right, go there. Okay. So this is what it says about substance abuse. WADA has identified a category of substances called substance abuse, which are substances that are both prohibited in competition and frequently abused in society outside of sports. The 2021 prohibited list identifies the following as substances of abuse: cocaine, diamorphine, heroin, methylene dioxymethamphetamines, ecstasy, tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, the psychoactive chemical in natural cannabis products. The psychoactive chemical. So the psychoactive, is that not part of the natural cannabis? Or is this psychoactive chemical the stuff they spraying on it? Let me say that again. Why did they believe that THC, were they talking about the tetrahydrocannabinol, right? The psychoactive chemical in natural cannabis products. What is in this psychoactive chemical that they said that enhances? Is it something in the chemical that they're spraying on that is going to have some effect on the natural body by creating something? Is this the door that needs to be opened to find out what is in the THC that y'all said that can enhance? And what does it enhance and what does it really do? See, that was the question we should have been asking. Okay, you caught her with that. But no one has explained how this psychoactive chemical enhances an athlete. We just know you can be penalized for it, right? And especially when you have this new found revenue and it's opened up to the country, and many people have been smoking under the terms of illegal are now legally smoking it. So guess what happens? That means a lot of your athletes are probably smoking. So you changed it in a way that you knew that a lot of them would get caught. Because the question comes again, did Sha Carri run first, then test, or was test first, then run? If she was tested first and they let her run, but already knew the results, and then see that she won, and then to get it all hyped up, and then to pull the rug from up under her, then did they have an agenda for it? Did they have an agenda? Did they have an agenda? I don't know, right? We just have to take it for what it is, right? We just got to take it for what it is. Only you can speculate. Only you can discern what you think. I'm not here to make you think. I'm just here to reveal what they got out there. That's what we do over here on We Up Report. Again, let's yeah, go ahead and go ahead and do the you got this thing all mixed up, huh? Go ahead, hit him with that, and let's come right back. Hey, you sitting here watching the video. Why you sitting there? Put your hand on that like button, click it, thumbs it up, share this video, comment. You can like or dislike it. We don't care about that. And also, if you ain't over here and subscribe, what you waiting on? Get yourself on there and subscribe to get on up to We Up Report. So you can stay up, because we're going to keep you up. That's how you help keep this channel going. You can also do some monetary donations. We'll tell you about that later. But right now, wake yourself up, like, share, and comment. And don't forget, when you subscribe on that button, hit that all. All right, we are back, right? So, I have some questions on that, right? Can a mug be, just because they said that they suspended him, he had 2 DUIs, could that system, again, this thing what they call civilization and who is run by, can they make conceptions for one, but then abuse it to somebody else because they already done deem you as inferior, a savage, a wildlife, so they can use it at their discretion. Oh, that's cold. That's cold. So then you also had this sister, right? And this here, man, I think is really the main focus that we probably all need to focus on, because most likely she should be there, right? She should be there. Go ahead and show this, right? The hammer thrower Gwen Berry turns away from flag while Anthem plays at trial. I feel like it was a setup. Let me say that again. Hammer thrower Gwen Berry turns away from flag while Anthem play at trials. I feel like I was set up. Okay? So this is Gwen Berry. She's repping as Black American. She's talking about her people. She said whether she win or not, she's just there to actually bring global attention to the things that are happening inside to her peoples. So a lot had been said about her after that whole event. They were saying that she turned her back. Y'all seen the pictures, right? She didn't turn her back. She turned to her side. But does it make it better? It don't. It's the fact is to say turn your back. It's just to say that I turned to the side. You know, it just puts more weight on trying to make it more worse than what it is. Not saying that whether right or wrong, depending on your stance on it. But the point is, some people, that's what they did, to embellish on it. Ooh, that's cold, man. That water cold as shit. But anyway, so my thing is some of the stuff that I heard about what they were saying about this sister, right? There was a lot of stuff being said about her. And let me play some of this for y'all, right? Let me go ahead and listen to some of the stuff that some of these people were sitting here, they were saying, right? Can we show that? Yeah, we should be able to show that, right? First of all, let's see. Did she turn to the side? That's number one. Let me show you the picture. Did she turn her back? You know how originally they were saying that she turned her back. Now there's the picture. Now imagine those two in the front are facing the flag, and if that's her, is her back to it or she turned to the side? Huh? Is she turned to the side? Not her back? So a lot of people went off about it because, again, you know, just like the Rachel Nichols also said about how they, you know, getting tired of hearing about Black Lives Matter and that whole thing, and she chuckled about it, right? And so a lot of people feel some kind of way about that. So let me let you hear that these particular people here had a conversation about that event. Yeah, go ahead and put that there. All right, go there. All right, so let's go ahead and crank that. Let's see. Now I want y'all to listen to this because this is going to be them talking about this.
And field trials. Gwen Berry placed third in the hammer throw yesterday, and as the national anthem began to play with the winners at the podium, Berry turned away from the flag so she was facing the stands. Then, toward the end of the anthem, she pulled up a black t-shirt with the words "activist athlete" on the front and covered her head. Berry saying, quote, "I feel like it was a setup and they did it on purpose. I was pissed, to be honest. They had enough opportunities to play the national anthem before we got up there. It was real disrespectful. Now, according to the Associated Press, the national anthem has been played every night for the past week at the track and field trials, but the anthem is not played during medal ceremonies like it is during the Olympics. A USA track and field spokeswoman saying, quote, "The national anthem was scheduled to play at 5:20 p.m. We didn't wait until the athletes were on the podium for the hammer throw awards. The national anthem is played every day according to a previously published schedule." Here we go again with protest. And guys, it's very interesting. For the record, Gwen Berry is up there. She gets upset about it. Now, it's played every day around 5:20. It was 5 minutes late. It looks like 5:25. She gets mad. She turns her back on the national anthem. To be accurate about her past, she is an activist. 2 years ago, in 2019, at the Pan American Games, she raised her fist, which was first done in 1968 by two American runners, John Carlos and Tommy Smith. And there was a sanctioning for it because the Olympics put in a rule that says you can't protest during the podium or the opening and closing ceremonies. This certainly suggests what she may do if she makes it to Tokyo. I'll start with you, Emily. What are your thoughts?
Oh, Griff, I feel like this is a classic example of, like, it's not about you, girl. Like, she comes out and says, oh, they're clearly playing the anthem because I was there. It was a setup. It was so disrespectful. They knew it was all about me. I just feel like telling her the anthem is so much bigger than you, and the U.S. Olympic trials is so much bigger than you. So she can do what she wants, but there's going to be accountability. And here's the thing, you guys. Remember that while the U.S. Olympic Committee has promised not to sanction any athlete that does demonstrate at the podium there or in the Paralympic Games, the International Olympic Committee, to your point, Griff, still will maintain upholding that rule that prohibits demonstration. So if she gets on the podium in Tokyo and if she chooses to demonstrate again, then she might be facing a global backlash for that.
Tyrus, you are a professional athlete. You've been a professional athlete. I want to take you back to opening day in baseball here in Washington. The entire Nats team there knelt during the national anthem July 24th. The next day, the Nats were playing the Yankees. They knelt again as professional athletes, agreeing to have their protest during the opening of the game. But yet it's not a professional athlete on the world stage, as Emily points out, representing the great nation we are. Do you draw a distinction there?
No, I don't. And quite honestly, I don't care when the national anthem was played. It doesn't matter. 5:20, 4:15, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to give you some names here. We've had some issues in this country, especially as a black man. When I go to Tommy Smith, John Carlos, Jesse Owens, who they had issues. They fought. They wanted dignity, but they also wanted a seat at the table. They wanted to show how much they loved their country, how much they belonged, and human rights issues, and they fought for it. This isn't it. Even with taking a knee on the baseball game, I have no problem with a professional athlete being a citizen. Taking a respectful knee during the flag, if that's what you choose to do while you still are honoring the flag, I have no issue. She turned her back on the flag. She was upset they had the gall to... What song would you think they're going to play at the Olympics? This, very simply, why are you even competing in the Olympics if you hate the flag and the country so much? If it's such a horrible place, why are you doing it? I'm literally wearing the shirt of a man who didn't believe in the Vietnam War, Muhammad Ali, protested, lost 2 years in the prime of his career, 5 years, I'm sorry, the prime of his career. And he gave it up because what he believed in. History looks back at him now as a hero. But at the time, there was consequences for his actions. And he took it because he believed in what he stood for. So if it's this bad and you're this insulted, why are you competing? Protest. Sit out. See who takes notice.
That's a great point, Tyrus. Let me go to you, Abby. If indeed Miss Berry is not able to represent our country in a respectful manner, should she win a medal representing our country, should she be banned from even going? I mean, these are the trials. She isn't there yet, but clearly she's suggesting what she may do, which is to, as Tyrus points out, make it about herself.
Yeah, well, to answer your question, I'm just going to echo what Emily and Tyrus said, that when you go to the Olympics, you're not just representing yourself, you're representing an entire country. And stories like this really bother me because I've had the honor of spending time with our military men and women and I've had the opportunity to listen to the stories that they have, you know, veterans, the types of things that they've seen. And when you turn your back on the flag like that, you're turning your back on the men and women who put their lives on the line every single day so that you have freedoms. You're turning your back on something that drapes the coffin of military men and women who make the ultimate sacrifice, leave their family members behind so that you have the opportunity to even exercise your freedom of speech. So it really bothers me when people do this. It's a blatant disrespect to, you know, those men and women. And quite honestly, I wish that she would go down to Arlington Cemetery, maybe talk to a wounded warrior, a veteran, and spend time reflecting on how her actions do not advocate for a United States of America.
You're pushing my buttons. One of the greatest honors I had for Fox was to document Marines in the invasion of Iraq in 2003, and on the opening night, 4 died. I bore witness to it. They were white and black, and you're right, they fight for the folks like Gwen Berry to protest. Real quickly, in the time we have left, is it also unfair to athletes from other countries who are there to represent their countries in these special moments to bring honor home for them if an American is making it about themselves, particularly if it's a bronze medal? Have you disrespected the gold and silver medalist? Emily?
Griff, I think that's such a great question, especially when you look at the, quote, injustices in our country in contrast to those in other countries that are truly facing, for example, in China, concentration camps, actual systemic extinguishing of entire races. It's absolutely abhorrent. There are in certain countries where you are put to death for being homosexual. The list goes on. So I agree with you that to sort of make it about yourself, to echo my colleague's points, to disrespect the flag in that way, and also to have zero perspective of what that global landscape looks like. It's just one more example of these athletes making it all about themselves and refusing to honor the rest of those who served this country and served that flag for all it stands for.
All right, in the last 30 seconds I got, just to get the pulse of everybody on the panel, Tyrus, what do you say? Unfair or fair to protest at the Olympics?
That's the beautiful thing about our country is we can do things like that because we are a country of freedoms. You can love the military and have an issue with what's going on in our government, and I think you can respectfully protest something like taking a knee or raising a fist to acknowledge those that need help. But to turn your back on the flag, why be there?
Abby, unfair?
Right.
Well, I think Tyrus said it perfectly. It's about respect, and, you know, we have freedoms in this country. You can protest, you can disagree with anything you want, but I just hope that moving forward, people realize that the way that they protest sometimes is more divisive and doesn't advocate for change. It's not that you do it, it's how you do it.
Such a good point. All right, guys, coming up.
All right, we are back, right? Just had to sit through that, didn't you? Can you imagine that? I mean, it's not about you, girl. Somebody who say they black, right? Right? Say they black, right? And another one's go grabbing straws, talking about other nations. We're not talking about other nations. We're talking about right here in the United States. And to always use this kickstand about, oh, people in this country fight to protect you. Name me any country that is not European that could actually attack this country. I'll wait. Name me a country that is not of the European faction that could attack any country. See how ridiculous that really is? So what really is the military doing then? Right? Oh, maybe it's defending against other European nations but there's no black nations that could attack any white nations, is there? Do they have military missiles and bombs? And no, none of that, do they? So is that a farce to say that you actually protecting against somebody like the boogeyman? And the reason why you're speaking out, it's not about you. You talk about the military, but what about the people who built this country and the history that tells you about what happened to them? We're going to do everything but not talk about that. And then to sit there and try to use Muhammad Ali to really like validate your point, right? That's crazy. You would take Muhammad Ali and say that Muhammad Ali felt good about this. Well, let Muhammad Ali tell you out his own words when he thought after he won his gold medal, he thought that it was going to be a new world for him when he came back. That's what he thought. You don't believe me? Let him tell you with his own words. Go ahead, Muhammad. Go and tell him. Go ahead and tell him, Muhammad. Go ahead and tell him, Muhammad. They don't hear you, though. They don't hear you, though. Go ahead, tell him.
58. We couldn't eat in the restaurants in Louisville. We couldn't eat downtown. One day I saw 2 Africans go in with their ropes and their turbans. They couldn't speak English. I heard the man say, "Let them in, they're not Negroes." I said, something's wrong. I can't say it's because I'm black, because they're so black and they're blue, but they went in. So I said, well, I get my Olympic gold medal, then I'll go in. I went and got my gold medal, went back in, ordered 2 cheeseburgers, and they said, sorry, we don't serve Negroes. I said, I don't eat them either, just give me 2 cheeseburgers. And she said, you're getting smart. She called the manager, and he said something about, I don't care who he is. She said, Cassius Clay, I don't care who he is. Anyway, but the idea was I couldn't eat there, so I got so angry. I drove to the Ohio River and stood there and looked at the gold medal, and I could imagine that American flag waving when they played the national anthem when I beat the Pole, the Russian. Dun, 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 dun. And I'm standing with the medal on. Dun, 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 dun. I said, boy, I'm going back to Louisville, and I can eat now. I can go in the restaurants, put them on the spot. They can't put me out there. I'm the champ of the world. I'm in a big country like Rome, representing the United States, one little city named Louisville, and now I done beat the whole world. Boy, dun, dun. They put me out of that restaurant. I said, this medal ain't worth a damn. I've become so frustrated. Now I wish I still had it because I wouldn't become as frustrated now. But at the time, I took that medal and said, it ain't worth nothing. I don't care. I took it off my neck and said, it ain't no good. It ain't. Don't you know Ohio River? I hear there's problems in Australia just like there are in America and other countries. But to all of those, regardless of you're Australian, whether you're black or white, it's one thing I want you to always remember. It says, when we mistreat others, we are certainly mistreating the artists who created them. If we realize this, it will not be difficult to feel God's presence everywhere. As I repeat, when we mistreat others, we are certainly mistreating the artists who created them. If we realize this, it will not be difficult to feel God's presence everywhere.
All right, so that was Muhammad Ali's telling you about the ordeal he had after he had won his gold medal. Wanted to go in a restaurant to eat. Said there was some Africans there. He told them they could let them in because they weren't Negroes. So they allowed them to go in. But when he came, thinking that the fact that he's a gold medalist winner, his name should be known. But they can't serve you because you're a Negro. Still prevalent today? Is it still prevalent today? Took the medal because he felt disrespected, that after he went in there and represented his country, then coming back to his country after doing that, he's not recognizing his own country. Isn't that the same thing what Berry is saying? That there are issues in this country that are related to black Americans that are systemic and perpetuating? But turn a blind eye all that and just give us all this sweet tongue, candy, bubble-licious, spark in the sky rhetoric, but not deal with the reality of things? You like it better that way. You like telling us, the military and other people got it worse than you do. How can you, being on the other side of that, tell us about the conditions and what we go through? And talking about the selfishness. No, the selfishness is go in that mirror and look at it hard. Who do you see? Who do y'all see? Right? That's kind of funny, right? Always want to throw it back on you. And then telling you that you're wrong because she want to make a stance about the things that are happening to her peoples, right? But let me show you how the extent of, because of her doing it, and one time she's an athlete activist, that they would go all out their way. They would go all out their way to demonize her, to make her a savage. What you talking about, Mr. Blow Your Mind? Huh? Gwen Berry joked about rape, mocked Mexicans and Asians in old tweets. Let me say that again. Gwen Berry joked about rape, mocked Mexicans and Asians in old tweets. Went into the old tweets, want to see she done said some things. Let's pull out on her. You're sitting there, you're activism, trying to say that white people are doing something. Look at you, you talked about being raped, so you get feminists. You're talking about Mexicans and Asians, you're racist. Anything not to focus on what she wants to talk about. She's the athlete. She's the bronze medalist. She's the Olympian. She has the platform. But you don't want to hear what she got to say because it's not part of the standards of civilization. White is white. White is right. White is might. Godly to be white. Our way of looking at the world is right. You have not been deemed because we say so, but it's all selfish about us. Is we selfish? Right? Now, let me show you the extent that they would do even beyond that. Let me show you that, man. Let me show you. Now, remember, you just seen that. Then they came out with this. North Korean de facto says Team USA athlete Gwen Berry would have been executed over unthinkable flag protests. Let me say that again. North Korean de facto says Team USA athlete Gwen Berry would have been executed over unthinkable flag protest. You know how everybody likes to get in our business and try to tell us that the position in protest and what we talk about, the wrongs and the injustices and the disenfranchisement, that these things are just a figure out their imagination. You guys don't got that bad. Other people. Let me let y'all hear this, man. Let me let you hear it before that, right? Because you see the key word in there is de facto, right? This de facto, this person who is speaking not from North Korea, something that happened in her life and her family that they couldn't stay. They got the hell up out of there. And they said that the grass is greener away from my own damn people. You know the difference between the rest of y'all who from somewhere else? Black Americans don't got their own country. It's been hijacked. You won't get the hell out. But you're in here telling us everything about what, but you ain't been here from the beginning, but you're in here getting every damn thing and telling us to be quiet while you stealing and robbing and taking every damn thing. Let me show you what this de facto had said. Let me show what this de facto had said. Go there. Yeah, and then go over there and play. Listen to this, y'all. Listen to this. Listen to this. Ready with that? Go ahead.
It's the national anthem, as we are reminded that America is one of the few countries that would allow it, by the way. The Wall Street Journal's Gerard Baker writes this. When the national anthem was played, Gwen Berry turned away and covered her head with a t-shirt. Imagine if a Chinese athlete did that. Unless they have hammer-throwing competitions at re-education camps, it would be the last medal ceremony that athlete ever took part in. Our next guest couldn't agree more. She's a North Korean defector who lived in China, later escaped to the U.S., and now a student, or was a student at Columbia. Yanami Park joins us right now. She has a book out chronicling this entire experience. The book is called In Order to Live. Yanami, thanks so much for joining us. What's your reaction to Gwen Berry's actions after winning a place in the Tokyo Olympics?
So when I was watching that, if she did the exact same thing at this very moment, if she was a North Korean, not only herself gonna be executed, I mean, including 8 generations of her family gonna be sent to political prison camp and execution. So the fact that she's going there and refusing to represent this tolerant, the land of the free, is unthinkable.
So her point is, well, America had slavery in the 3rd verse of the national anthem. She feels refers to slavery. That's what she was saying.
I mean, I was a slave. I was sold in China in 2007 as a child at 13 years old. The people actually going slavery under Chinese Communist Party in North Korea, there is actual injustice, and the fact that she's complaining about this country, the most tolerant country, she doesn't really understand, I think, history.
She says her goal is to fight systemic racism. It's bigger than just competing in sports.
That is so, I mean, in North Korea, people who are actually oppressed don't even know they're oppressed. The fact that she's complaining oppression and systemic racism, that she does not understand that she's so privileged. She's literally spoiled being free so much in this amazing country.
Obviously, I agree with you. I'm giving her point of view. I have to bring it to another poll we just discussed. Only 69% of the country say this is the best place in the world to live, down from 83%. What's your perspective on that as someone who chose to be here?
There are people dying to come to America at this very moment. I just hope they go to North Korea, China, and see actually how humans are being oppressed. And they will truly understand how valuable the freedom that we have, this country has, and how lucky they are to be in this, the best country that in human history.
But why do you think we think the way we do? Not me, but why do you think that the 25% dislike this country? Or don't think it's that great?
Yeah, I know. I went to Columbia University. I studied there 4 years. Their propaganda was actually even worse than North Korea. Their anti-sentiment towards Western civilization and white men, it was exactly being in North Korea's classroom, all about hate against white men and the founding fathers of this country. I do think these people truly being brainwashed while being in America, and that's truly heartbreaking. Why would you do that? Why would you be brainwashed where you have a choice not to be?
Well, go out and pick up her book and tells the story. It was also featured on FoxNews.com. Yanemi Park, I enjoy your message. Thanks so much, and have a great 4th of July weekend.
You too. Thank you, Brian.
Hi, Gwen, I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click this.
All right, so we back, right? So Mug would sit there and say that you'd have been executed in this country, and here's a person who said, oh, you don't know nothing about slavery. I know about slavery. How could you say what you said? This country is great. The mitigated goal for somebody coming from somewhere else who don't really know this country like we know this country. And of course the white man gonna sit right in your damn face and act like, oh yeah, we can't understand why they saying that. Really? Then why are they talking about reparations? Why are they still talking about rights? Why are they still looking for justice from the criminal system and police incarceration and things of that? And this the whole nine to that, right? Why is those are some of the talking parts? Oh, it's so brainwashed? Really? I think you went against your own damn people to say that your people are horrific. See, the problem is black Americans don't have their own country where they can say that their own people are doing stuff to them while everybody else seems to make that's your theme. Don't you not understand that we are under somebody else? I don't understand that. How is it that you say the white person, right, that and black people are talking about being oppressed by somebody who ain't them? You think that shit is the wildest shit in your motherfucking mind. Oh no, this is great. You can understand because they, again, standard of civilization, you kneel to Zod. You believe that shit that they say, that they're your God. They are the sacredness. They are the upholding ones. You believe all that shit, right? So you get in our damn face and try to tell us, oh, we don't know history, or we're misguided, or we're just so spoiled. You a defector. You actually irrelevant. But see, what they do is they go find somebody who come out there and say that, and you're irrelevant. And it's very disrespectful for you to even get and curl your mouth to even talking about the plight of what's going on here. You want to talk about your country? Fine. But don't get in our business talking about what done happened to us. Who is you? Who is you? Right? So, you know what I'm saying? Everybody get in the face. But let's go back then. Let's see if remember when Gwen Berry said she was set up, right? Let's go back to that point. Oh, I ain't forget about that point. Let's go back and see. Because, see, they try to say, let's go back. Remember, first they tried to say that she had a back turn, right? Go to that. Go there, right? Let's go there. Right? Originally, they said she turned her back on the national anthem. What do you see? Is her back turned? If they facing forward and you see her to the side, her back is not to the flag. She turned to the side, right? With her head low. Because she felt like y'all did this shit to put me out there because you already knew my history about what I protested before. And so y'all wanted to say, well, since you had got me sanctioned last time, let's see if we put her back out there again. Will she do it again? So you won. So some people say you can't see the setup. Again, she did it in 2019. So now when she won to get third this time, ironically, they come out with the anthem. Now you heard them say, now I want you to see what they said, right? Let's see now. Let's see if what Berry said and what they said different. Let's see. Now, remember when you heard them say the national anthem was scheduled to play at 5:20 today? Today. Not every day of the ceremony or the event, but this day at 5:20, they were going to play the national anthem. Remember Muhammad Ali? Dun, 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 dun. Right? 5:20. We didn't wait until the athletes were on the podium for the Hammer Throw Awards. Huh? We didn't wait until the athletes were on the podium for the Hammer Throw Awards. Okay. Now remember, that's what they saying, right? That's what they saying. And so you see what she said. Gwen Berry's statement was, I feel like it was a setup and they did it on purpose. I was pissed, to be honest. They had enough opportunities to play the national anthem before we got up there. It was real disrespectful. Let me say that again. I feel it was a setup and they did it on purpose. I was pissed, to be honest. They had enough opportunities to play the national anthem before we got up there. It was real disrespectful. What is she talking about? What is she talking about? Huh? Well, I did a little digging, y'all. I went and did a little digging. And what did I find? What did I find? I found the schedule for that day. Huh? I went and found the schedule as you see on your screen, and I hope that that you can see that well. If not, let me tell you what it says. Hold on. Let's we got that right, sir? Let's go ahead. We got that? Yes, we do, right? We got it. Okay. Now, what you see on your screen there, you see some time. You see 7:01 a.m. It's the 20K kilometer race walk, women's final, right? Now, this is the day of, I think it was June 19th, if I'm not mistaken. Right? So here's the time schedule of that day. Now, according to, remember what they had just said. They had said at what? The national anthem was scheduled to play at 5:20 p.m. today. Now, the announcer, being slick, had said the 5:20 is what they played every day. He lying. He's lying. They didn't play it every day at 5:20. But this specific day, they decided to do it at 5:20. Let's see if Miss Berry is lying. So you got the 20-kilometer walk at 7:01. At 10 a.m., you had the 10,000 mile. Then at 1:15 p.m., you had the 100-meter hurdles. Then at 2:30, you had the high jump. At 4:05, the hammer throw. At 4:40, the shot put. At 5:30, the javelin. At 5:38, the 200 meter, I guess. And 5:40 p.m., the pole vault. Now, according to this time schedule, if the hammer throw is at 4:05 and you have shot put after, javelin after that, right? You got 2 events that's coming in after that. Then how is it that you say at 5:20, that y'all playing the national anthem, that she felt like y'all set her up? Huh? Let's show again. Here's the schedule. I didn't make this up. It's right there. Hammer throw, women's final, 4:05 p.m. You said 5:20. Well, what happened to the shot put? What happened to the javelin? Huh? Y'all couldn't have did it then? You did it specifically on that because, again, what our history has said prior to. They wanted to see, again, standard of civilization was putting it to the test. We don't want you coming in here with this savage shit. We want you to be in here, European mind and way, and do it according to the way we said so. Ain't that what they did? 5:20, and the schedule showing you what would have been at 5:20. 5:30 is the javelin toss. So let's just say all the black part. But you had other events in between. You could have did it after the shot put. That's 4:40. So you saying that it took an hour and 15 minutes to do the hammer throw? Was it an hour and, was it? What about the other day? What about the other days of the event? Matter of fact, I had the schedule on that. They even had a couple days off. What day did they play the national anthem every day during the trials? Was it the same time every day, or did they randomly put a time? Because you heard them say a schedule. See? So did the sister lie? Or is it just that we are not smart enough to discern that that's what took place? You make the call. You see if that's what happened, right? You go ahead. You see that? Really? And they're talking about when you would in your country they would do that. Well, you're all Japanese, you're all Chinese, right? You're all Japanese, you're all Chinese. So what would be the point? No, we don't want you coming in here. We want to make you do according to what we say, the standards of civilization. You come in here as a black, white person. You are civilized according to the way we have stamped and approved and said these are the standards. Otherwise, you will be penalized. Now, the thing is, will this sister make it to Tokyo? That's the thing we got to look at. Will this sister make it to Tokyo? Right? So, you know, it's kind of strange, but it is what it is. And I got one more that I want to do. I want to do. I want one more. We do one more. Right? Do one more. Oh, we actually, do one more. Right? Because what about that sister? Did y'all see that sister, the Brianna McNeil? Did y'all see about her? Let me show you Brianna McNeil. Show her. Go ahead. Right? Did y'all hear about this sister, the hurler, Brianna McNeil? She loses appeal of a 5-year ban and will miss the Tokyo Olympics. Did you know about her story? Now, according to the way the story goes, is the fact that you're supposed to, through some database tracking, let those who are part of the Olympic testing team know where your whereabouts. So if they want to come and decide they want to do a drop on you, that they know where to come find you at. Now, accordingly, somewhere in her history, she have done that, and did not do it, and they try to specify by her not doing that broke violations. And then this one particular time, back in January, I think it was January 12th, if I'm not mistaken, that the Olympic Committee came to her house, or the WADA, or whoever was the doping agency that come to your door, came, knocked on the door. She did not answer. And I went away, and they said that because she did not answer, automatically it's going to be considered, that you are doping. Now, accordingly, she had just had an abortion that she did not want publicly known. She was pregnant, went and had a abortion on January 10th, I think it was, right? I think it was January 10th. She had the abortion. Remember, the committee is coming to her house on January 12th. And based on them missing her and then informing her that she had to provide documentation and stuff like that, so she went and gets her documentation and sends it to them. And she changes the date from the January 10th to January 11th. Okay? She changes the documentation of what was originally done for January 10th to January 11th. Okay? Send it in. The committee figures that they're forged and said they need more documentation. Go back again, get more documentation, and send it again. She does the same thing and said, okay. She said, again, they determined that you were doping because you are tampering with the evidence. And her reasoning is saying that she had an abortion. During this time, they had delayed the games because of, now you're talking about pandemic is coming. She just had an abortion, and she said she thought it was the 11th, and so she kept changing the date. Now, I know a lot of us were going, oh, yeah, why the fuck are you talking that shit? Why just leave the shit the way it is? But she didn't answer the door on the 12th. And so she didn't answer the door, said she was recuperating. I don't know if she said she heard him or not or whatever, but that's what it was. But the point is, it was able to determine she did have the abortion. Why did she tamper to change the date? Everybody was speculating, would say what they want. So they end up determining she doped. But they said it's not because of the doping. They make it because of the documentation. Because they determined that she did have an abortion. She didn't want to make it public. She felt bad because now that they delayed it, she looking at the fact that, well, I had an abortion, I could have had my baby. Now, is there some speculation, some mysteries as into that? Some people will speculate, yes, there is, maybe there isn't. Maybe she was, and maybe she was still recuperating and emotionally and so forth, right? So they determined, they gave her a 5-year ban. I noticed that it didn't come from the United States. It came from Switzerland, which I thought was very unusual. So this sister, after that being said, she like, man, you know what I'm saying? I would never recover from this. Right? She loses the appeal. She get a 5-year suspension. It's over, right? She at a certain age. You're talking about 2 Olympics. That's almost then 10 years later. Right? What was it harsh? Even though they couldn't, it's like you can't prove, but why did you go to the extreme and give her 5? If you think she doped, one of the other things, I mean, did she have any priors? Not 5 years, right? I'm not condoning the saying or the alteration of the documents. Even if you had the abortion on the 10th, what difference would be if they came on the 12th? You still not feeling right. I'm not right. Wouldn't make no difference, but I think she think the 24 hours would have made a difference. 48 hours still wouldn't make it. You know what I'm saying? Still 48 hours still within, But she did that. But she got a harsh penalty. Some may agree, may even disagree. Right? But is that has something to do with the standards of civilization and what they deem and say was right? That's what they said. Not about how you feel and how you determine stuff. It's about what we think. Right? And so, maybe I didn't hear a lot of people talk about that the way that it should have been spoken. Right? And there were some sisters that had testosterone. They said they had too much testosterone, but they female, naturally born, right? And then they talked about the swim cap, right? We talked about that swim cap, right? Explain why swimming caps designed for black athletes have been banned at the Tokyo game. Everything they deal with blacks, to show something about, you know what I'm saying? Because remember, going back to the standard of civilization, it was Japan and China that was the second tier, and then it was all the, you know, let's say the Africans would be lesser than. So they got the same harboring effects like everybody else when it comes to us in this game. So we shouldn't be surprised. But let's look at it like this, right? You remember when she talked about, and she said Berry had said something to the fact about the national anthem, right? Remember they saying she said about the national anthem, and that you know, when you talk about that national anthem and you talk about is it racial, you know, a lot of people didn't know about that, right? We're talking about that third, the stanza. Is it the stanza? Says, and where is that band who so valiantly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footstep. Pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave, and the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph do wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. So a lot of people equate to that particular verse as a verse that talks about how this Francis Scott Key, if you want to say he's the one that wrote the Star-Spangled Banner, that those stanza was related to the fact that, you know, everybody could show their contempt for, again, the black peoples. Right? So I guess when it's all said and done, when you think about it, I got one as I go ahead and get ready to end this show. I got something. You know, y'all remember in the, let's see, can we, hold on, let's see. Do we got that? Yes, we do. Okay. All right. I got one for y'all. You remember there was a story in the Bible called Nebuchadnezzar, right? I think it's in Daniel chapter 3, right? Now, for those of y'all who never heard this, we're going to end out on this. All right, sisters and primary brothers too. Now, you understand that the Olympics is based on this standard of civilization, which means that you understand that the origins of who is the epitome of what they call civilized and what you as a barbarian or savage must attain to be accepted. Then when you go out there to make your stances, just remember this. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold, 60 cubit high, 6 cubit wide, and is set up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. He then summoned the satraps, the prefects, the governors, the advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all other provincial officials to come to the dedication of the image he has set up. So the satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all others, provincial officials assembled for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and they stood before it. Then the herald loudly proclaimed, nations and people of every language, this is what you are to command to do. As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace. Therefore, as soon as they heard the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, and all kinds of music, all the nations and peoples of every language fell down and worshipped the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. At this time, some astrologers came forward and denounced the Jews They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "May the king live forever. Your Majesty has issued a decree that anyone who hears the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music must fall down and worship the image of gold, and that whoever does not fall down and worship the will be thrown into the blazing furnace. But there are some Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who pay no attention to you. Your Majesty, they neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold you have set up." Furious with rage, Nebuchadnezzar summoned Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So these men were brought before the king. Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the image of gold I have set up? Now when you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music, if you are ready to fall down and worship the image I made, very good. But if you do not worship it, you will be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace. Then what God would be able to rescue you from my hands?" Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to him, "King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your Majesty's hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, your Majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and his attendance towards them changed. His attitude towards them changed. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual and commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. So these men, wearing their robes, trousers, turbans, and other clothes, were bound and thrown into the blazing furnace. King commanded was so urgent and the furnace so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, firmly tied, fell into the blazing furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement and asked his advisors, "Weren't there 3 men that tied up threw into the fire?" They replied, "Certainly, your Majesty." He said, "Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods." Nebuchadnezzar then approached the opening of the blazing furnace and shouted, "Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here." So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego come out of the fire, and the satraps, prefects, governors, and royal advisors crowded around them. They saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was their hair or their heads singed. Their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell or fire on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angels and rescued his servants." They trusted in him and defied the king's command and were willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore I decree that the people of any nation or language who say anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be cut into pieces and their houses be turned into piles of rubble. For no other God can save in this way. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. That is going to be my show for today. Take it for what you want to take it. It can be applied in so many things. You can get it, go back and listen to it. There's a lesson in that. Whether some say it's just words or Maybe it's a stance, but it's a choice we all have to take and change. We may have to be put to that test. So when you see the sisters out here getting it, it's because one thing is for sure, that a woman that seems to be not trying to follow within what they call it again. Do I need to show y'all once again? Put them back up on that. Put them back up on that scale. Put them up there. Put them back up there. All right, put them back up there. All right. Standards of civilization violation. Black women trying to wear their hairs and their nails and trying to come back and be with their man and be with their family and He don't want you to worship. He's going to put you to the test, as he said, in breaking the process of the African woman. He's going to put you to the test. It's not good economics, you trying to build this image of this unit of this black savageness. If you want my accolades, if you want my adulation, if you want my acceptance, you'll do as King Nebuchadnezzar say. And if not, who can save you from my hand? The choice becomes, who is your God? That's going to be my show for today, y'all. Like, share, comment, dislike, say I ain't shit. It's all good ELC. To the next show, y'all. Right? Tell me what y'all think. Can we go ahead and do that? Go ahead and get it going. Let's get up out of here. Yeah, let's get up out of here. Oh, no? He's not ready, huh? All right, we go back there then. Let's go. All right, I want to thank each and every one of you for clicking here on the video. Again, like, share, comment, pass it on. Do your part to help, again, get this channel up out of the hole, because I am the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. Been in the business going on 10 years. You can't tell. Why ask yourself that a channel that's been around this long that can't get 100 views? Ask yourself that question. Maybe I'm not, for everybody's liking. Maybe I'm just saying some things that is maybe a violation of the standard of civilization itself. So until my next show, y'all, until the